everybody. Welcome to another episode of Breaking the Block. Note, it looks like there is about a 6-second difference between what we see here on screen backstage and what y'all see on the screen instead of just the 3 to 5. I've been timing it here lately. So, if my co-host would like to introduce themselves, and we'll touch base on what we do here after that. So, Rita, you want to start, then we'll go to Rach and then Maggie?
Sure. I'm Rita over at Miranda's Cauldron. Miranda's my pen name. Once I finally publish, I write young adult paranormal fantasy with witches and elementals and family secrets. I normally host streams Monday and Thursdays. Thursdays are new. And this week, since it's the full moon, I'm doing a special tarot stream on Wednesday and Saturday.
Nice. I am Rachel D. Adams, or Rach if you want to call me that. I'm a co-author for the Dragon Tasker series in urban fantasy and paranormal romance, wrapped into one. I have my co-author Dawn here in the channel with us. She's in the chat. And I also run a special Substack for everybody. It is called Aggressively Helpful Writing Advice, so that I don't get in trouble for just putting it out there. That's my thought on it anyway.
Hello, lovelies. Mama Maggie Ward, independent author, stroke survivor, migraine overcomer, and I dropped book number 11 of Relic of Time this week. I will be dropping, republishing book number 2 of the opening trilogy of Pagosa Cliffs Anemones about the Wild Anemone Bakery. Will be coming on the 13th. Yes, I do all the things and the things plus the things, and writing the block is one of the things that I do, where I try to share the writing tips and tricks that I have learned since starting my journey of writing and stroke recovery almost 10 years ago. So yeah, I'm here. I don't know anything, but I will tell you what I have learned.
I think that's what we all do. Maggie and Rita pulling double duty, saying hi in the chat. And we've got Dawn, hello, and Cat Paw, and Sako, hello, and welcome. For those of you who do not know what we do here at Breaking the Block, we are writers helping writers, or creatives helping creatives. And we try to help people not be a squeaky toy. We try to help people get through their creative blocks, or try to work through what might be stumbling them in their creative processes, or they're getting the words out. So, with that being said,
and we have pets. We
do. You will probably hear the squeaky toy, and eventually she will probably be snoring. So awesome. And the cats, all the cats. Hey Eva, how are you?
In this news,
how's the fam?
She says the days are a blur.
Hold on. You guys will get through this. Things will get better.
Yep.
Well, things will get adjacent to better.
Hopefully, yes.
There will be a new norm if you can't return to the norm. It'll be okay. All right. So, first question that we have that Skye and Fam didn't get to last time is, hi, let's just, lower that there. How do you limit or stop yourself from spending so much time editing instead of writing on your work in progress? Whoever wants to grab it first, go right ahead.
I'm still thinking.
I can't say anything. I've spent the last 3 years doing writing less than 100,000 words per year, while all I'm doing is editing. But that's
Someone else-
because but that's because I spent 7 years doing nothing but writing. So to be fair. Sure.
handing somebody else the accountability button. That's what I do. I have beta readers, and so in my mind, and I understand because 2 of my beta readers are sitting right here, that they would be fine with getting it whenever, right? But I put on my calendar, they need it by this date. And so it's kind of like that kind of holds me accountable. I've set myself and see no words. I've set myself a goal point, and I know that there's a better word for that. But also, like my editor, she is also like, okay, well, I can only do it at a certain time frame because I got other clients. So I make sure that I get everything done in a certain time frame so that it's done. And then I don't go back. Like, I'm like, no, I can't go back until after I get it back from them, because it would be so easy for me to just slide right back in there and start doing stuff. And it's not going to do any good because she's got it. So when she brings it back to me, then I start revising. And because I've finally, after a couple of years, have set up this formula where I have, I've got the draft set up. We go over the draft together, Dawn and I. Then we send it to alpha readers or beta readers, depending on how far along we are with it. Then it comes back to us, and we allow ourselves one go. Goes to the editor, comes back to us, and we allow ourselves one go. And then we might have one more set of reading happen, just to catch any last minute oopsies. And it's difficult because my brain wants to constantly go back and find stuff. And you're constantly going to go back and find stuff.
The tweak brain. The tweak brain.
Yeah.
See,
but
for me, it's that war between my hummingbird word muse writer and my OCD goal brain editor, because since my stroke, I am so focused on finish the task, do the thing. And once I get on one track, it's like it's like when they were flying down the tunnel, the thing in Star Wars, and it was stay on target, stay on that. Yeah. And the constant temptation to just, well, if I just tweak this, I'll just tweak one scene. I'll just fix the dialogue in one scene. I just
5 chapters later.
Yeah, one scene is never one scene.
It's never one page.
So you just got to cut it. You're just going to have to do okay, that's it. So that would be my advice for it. That's the only thing I could do because I'm guilty of it. So yeah, that's also moving on to a different project. So that other part of my brain is if it connects to this one and it just wants to keep going back to one project, I give it another project to work on. And that kind of helps a little bit, but yeah. Deadlines. I figured it out. Words.
It's okay. We need extra coffee today, I think, all of us.
Yeah.
Rita, you have any suggestions?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I tend to revise. I thought one of my books was actually ready for beta readers, but I needed to fix this one thing in the first chapter. Well, the next thing you know, I read through the whole thing and revised it again. My kind of suggestion is if you're finding yourself going over and over and over and over again, just not really take a break, but go work on another project. That's probably why that worked for me. It's probably why I've written 2 books in 2 series, and then I started a 3rd series because I wanted to get words. I didn't want to revise anymore. And then for a whole year, all I just worked on is I did rewrites and revisions And now I'm ready for a proof copy of my second series. But I don't know how to stop. And I don't do well with deadlines.
I tried to set up a thing where I was like editing in the morning and writing in the evening. And I would just edit over into my writing time.
Yeah.
And I try right now I'm trying a thing where I'm editing on certain days and writing on certain days. And yeah, that's not going very well either. Because OCD Go Brain says, I need you to do this thing and finish this task. You're not done yet.
Yeah. All right. Catchin joined us. Good morning. Good morning. All right. So when I am in creating the work, when I am writing, it's the first draft. I do not edit at all. That's just one thing that I do not allow myself to do. You have to be mean to yourself. If you start doing something that you're not supposed to do, you need to sit yourself in a corner or smack your hands or something. I don't know. But you just need to hold to writing that first draft. In my opinion, that's how I work. I cannot edit and write the first draft at the same time because then it will never get done. And then, like Sako says here, she stops at 4 revisions. So I'm having to learn my revision process, usually with each book, because each book is a little bit different. But it's usually anywhere between 3 and 6 turns doing different things. Over 6, I send it to my husband again and be like, look, can you catch anything else? Point it out. That's all I'm going to change. We're done. Let's see.
Yeah, you have to fight the urge. You have to just be like, okay, that's it. I've gone through all the processes. Everybody else has gone through the process with me. That's it.
Yeah. And write every day, like Dawn says.
Yeah, and when you get frustrated, it's so hard to flip that switch to go back on one thing because we get tunnel vision. We're like, I mean, working on these, I mean, our little lizard brain, our little feline brain that's built in our genetics that take us through. We get that predator focus where we end up with, it's a predator focus where you're focused on one goal versus prey focus where you're so narrow-minded you're focused on escape that you can't get out of the situation. And we end up like that. We end up with tunnel vision really bad. You go down the rabbit hole. And it is really hard to climb out of that rabbit hole. And it leads us to one of the other topics is when do you do side of projects enough? Because if you've had a project where you've just tweaked it and edited it and gone over and over and over it and kept writing and kept going over it, where you just can't get it to where you're happy with it. That's another form of this thing of stopping yourself from the constant circle, the narrow focus of this project.
Yeah. Rabbits always have 2 exits. They don't ever come out the same hole. Yeah. So make yourself another exit. And I like what Sako says here. You're always a better writer than when you started, and that is true. So you're always going to feel like it's not ready. I hardly ever hear of a writer, an author saying, okay, I know this is ready. Here we go. And they're like, well, I could probably do this or after everything's said and done, they're like, maybe I should have done that. There's always going to be second guesses. Eva says, good enough is good enough, but I only succeed at limiting and stopping myself some of the times. Cat Paw still working on the caffeine. Dawn. Rach tells me she just can't look at the editing anymore, so we game and look at new stuff and get our characters into new trouble. I like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always create new projects.
Definitely find something to take you out of that mindset.
Yep. Dawn would always be in timeout.
Dawn puts herself in timeout. You want to know where Sebastian comes from? That's it, right there.
All right. Caston says my script brain wants to garble everything. I've been pantsing a novel and editing as I go, which has had me working on it for 2 years. Yes.
That's Jen. I feel that. I wrote 7 books in one document, and then I had to go and break it up for Relic of Time War.
Yeah.
And it ended up being almost 800,000 words in my original all Relic of Time War document, and going back and breaking up and rewriting it and redoing it over the last 10 years. The whole series has now reached like 1.4 million words. And there's literally been like event hubs that have like turned into their own book. So yeah.
The lives and loves of words for writers.
I am not the person to talk about limiting words or scenes or B plots or side characters. I'm working on Dust to the Devourer, which is the last active Relic of Time War. And I've added 10,000 words just tying up the B plots.
Gotcha.
So yeah. So editing and writing are the same right now for me, but it's supposed to be editing. It's not supposed to be more writing.
Yeah. Let's see.
I try to tie up my B plots on the side. Like in each book, there's at least one plot that gets tied up, so that I don't wind up at the last book and go, "Oh no."
Well, I've been tying many of these up. Okay,
good.
It's just, this is the end of the war arc. So there's just things I got to do. Yeah. Limiting words and scenes. Yeah, no, I don't do that, Don. La 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 la. I am not listening. La 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 la.
We have an itty bitty chapter, then we'll have a huge chapter, and then we'll have an itty bitty chapter.
All right. So next on the docket. What's the difference between, sorry about the sneezing, what's the difference between refilling the well and procrastinating? As we all sit back and like, nope.
Well, you know me, I'm an advocate for procrastinativity. If you are getting things done, procrastinating and productivity, if you're getting things done, it counts. Creativity, yes, that counts too. I think for me, to refill the well, I just have to make myself walk away from the project, and then set a time to go back to the project. Here's my day off. Here's the day that I'm taking off. Tomorrow I'm back on the project. But I'm the person who, because of stroke brain, being all over the place. Like Katston was saying, stroke brain is all over the place. I have the ability to skip around in my manuscript and project hop. So that is a thing. Project hopping keeps me from just procrastination shutdown where I'm not doing it.
If I'm refilling the well, I want to get away from everything else. And I try to make sure that it is away from productivity, anything. Because if it's productive, then I'm not really refilling the well to me. I'm doing something else that is considered a job duty, even if it is kind of relaxing. So I have to like just break away, read a book for fun, not because I need to beta read it or I need to give feedback or anything like that. I just want to read it for fun. If I want to go to the movies or if I want to go check out some new stuff over at the bookstore or just go get a coffee or what have you outside of the house. I have been lacking in refilling the well a lot lately, but I knew that this was coming because of certain things going on in your life. It just happens. So you're going to have to deal with that. But I advise people constantly, don't forget to break away from any kind of productivity. Because we tend to like want to pat ourselves on the back because, oh, well, I was refilling the well, but I was also productive at the same time. But is that really helping your brain to still do productive stuff? I mean, isn't that leading you toward burnout in a way? Because you're still doing productive stuff. You're not actually giving yourself a break. And so when you're able to give yourself a break, please do. Or if you look around and you're like, oh, well, that's something that needs to be done anyway. Well, but is that giving yourself a break? Now, the difference with procrastinating is something that I've seen a lot of people do is they will do the productivity like Mama Maggie was talking about and do it because they're scared to finish a project or something like that. And that's where you've got to be careful because you still need to finish your projects. You still need to get that book out. And whether it's over editing or finding something else that you need as a project or a goal that is productive, yes, but it's not getting you toward the original goal, which was to release that book. So really be careful about that. Ask yourself that question of, hey, is this leading me toward my goal? Because if it's not, maybe I should put that to the side. Maybe that is procrastinating, even though it looks productive.
I feel if you need the self-care, you need to read, you need to go for a walk, you need to just take a break, then take that break. If it lasts for like a month, even like a couple of weeks, then maybe there's something else there. Maybe you are on burnout and you just need that extra break.
So let's see. Margaret says this is a hard question. My brain could just need to procrastinate, but that also feels like a privilege since I'm not depending on new sales. Laundry, procrastinating, or job duty.
Yeah. Like I could leave my room and not write all day, but I could clean the kitchen. I could clean the bathrooms. I could do the laundry. I could go run errands instead of actually enjoying myself. So did I really take a break? No, I just became the maid and the taxi driver and all of that instead of the writer. That's the reason what Dawn was saying is so important. It's like when and it applied to editing when she said it, but it applies to writing too. It applies to anything, like anything that you're doing that's considered a duty. It's like, I may not have the money to go and do stuff all over the place, but we will be like, okay, we need to take a break. So we will go and we'll play around with different stories that are so far in the future, it doesn't even apply. Like this is fun stuff. And we'll go into gaming. We both got ARC, and we'll go and capture dinos and breed dinos and do all of the fun math. We actually math in the game, Maggie.
Yay, math!
we're constantly mathing in the game. Which one is going to have the best stats? What are we going to do here? But it gets you out of it. It gets you out of the editing and writing, and the constant going in and cleaning and stuff, which could be done.
Mm-hmm. Eva says, what's the end goal? Do you want to work every day and hit the most sales or most words written? Or do you want to create time and enjoy life? If it's the latter, like it is for me, then no guilt for enjoying life along the way. That's
Bingo.
Success. You need to not live to work. You need to work to live. So, go
okay. One of the things that that I really want to say here, as somebody that's been in corporate healthcare, corporate advertising, corporate whatever, I didn't leave corporate America to recreate corporate America in my office.
There you go. Yeah. And this is another thing too. When you're consuming content, when you're reading, when you're watching television, you are refilling the well. Now, there are times where you're kind of studying that content to make yourself a better writer or creative, but that's still kind of refilling the well. But if you can cut off the studying moment, then that's definitely refilling the well. Dawn says, my brain runs in overdrive, hence why I'm a multitasker and a workaholic. I don't know how to get out of the house away from anything I think needs my attention. Yeah.
She's got to work on that. She's really trying to work on that because she's got so many fun projects set aside for her and the grandbabies and everything. But it's just a matter of it. And coming from corporate and constantly wanting to people please and constantly wanting to do things for other people. It takes a lot to learn no. It takes so much to be like, I'm going to do this for myself. And I'm not going to worry about everybody else because they're all grown ass adults. So that's a thing that I've had to deal with too, because I got 3 of them. Well, 4 if you count James. that would constantly be like, hey, can you do this? Hey, can we do that? Hey, can we do that? But at some point when you're refilling the well, you kind of need it for you.
Exactly. Caston says, Rach is right. Breaks are muy importante. I had to take breaks to prevent burnout.
Yeah.
So you also have to keep in mind yourself. So not to recreate corporate in your life, but there comes a time when you have to clock out. Otherwise, you are going to burn yourself out and you're never going to want to type words again. Don't do that to yourself. Make sure that you're taking a break. Make sure that you're having fun at some point in time during the day. And try not to consume unhealthy things like doom scrolling.
There's a difference in, and I guess that could be a question unto itself. There's a difference in consuming stuff so that you are knowledgeable about what's going on in the world versus doom scrolling.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Eva
And
says, what
there's
those
also a
are
huge difference between consuming stuff that entertains you and fills your creative well versus consuming stuff that distracts you and creates stress. And the bad part is the way social media works.
It feeds it to you.
Yep.
It feeds both of them to you. So you're getting the creative fill endorphins backed up against the stress, adrenaline, fight or flight hormones that come to you through the news that unfortunately we have no way to express because because of the way it comes to us, it triggers the same neurochemical response as someone attacking you, but there's not actually someone attacking you. So that's another thing with social media, the dangers like TikTok. Margaret said TikTok is unhealthy. And that's because you have an imbalance of the stress things versus the positive creative things. And it seems like it doesn't matter how carefully you curate your feed.
It's always going to be there.
Sometimes I just have to ignore it. Sometimes I just have to pass, you know?
Yeah.
And
so
be aware that you may have to just be like, oh, I just have to scroll past that. I know what that's going to be. I know it's going to trigger me. So I'm just going to go past it. Nope.
And unfortunately this swing between the positive, the negative, the positive, the negative, and the constant exposure to all different platforms of social media that this goes on, it's a marketing thing designed to keep us unbalanced. to make us so that we do not have the ability to rationally think about things. Because if you live in a constant state of fear and stress, you cannot rationally you hit a point where you can no longer rationally process things.
Yeah.
And then you end up with people who have Biden derangement syndrome and Trump derangement syndrome and Harris derangement syndrome and Musk derangement syndrome, where they're so psycho about things.
They can't talk about anything else, that you wind up with them not talking about anything else.
But oh look, there's a cute little hippo video, and oh look, there's a cute little cat video, and oh look, oh my God, the world is ending. Look, kittens. Yeah, so that's the problem. Yeah, I take them in May, like from mid May to mid June, or toward the end of June, because I have to be back for the AWC. But I try to step back from all of the media content, all of that, because it's overwhelming. And especially if you have an abnormal brain like me, neurodivergent brain, your brain just keeps focusing on these cycles. And it, the endorphin hits are nice, but
Sako, can you link that?
Doom scrolling becomes a thing. You start doom scrolling, looking for the endorphin hits, but you're getting 2 or 3 stress hits for every endorphin hit, and that imbalance just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So
Sako, if you want to link this is kind of why I like Blue Sky, because you can curate lists, and I haven't found that it bleeds into other things yet. Hopefully it'll stay that way.
I hope. I hope. I'm still learning Blue Sky, but I really hope that it stays separate, because I do have some political things I follow, and then I also do have the mostly book stuff that I follow, and I kind of want to keep it that way. Like, hey, let's keep a little separation.
Yeah, exactly.
But Mama Maggie brought up something, and oh man, I hope my brain didn't just dump it. But there's a difference between, we were talking about the difference in consuming stuff that's for work versus stuff that videos, for instance, videos that are for work and videos that are for refilling the well. And my big thing is I try not to take notes or any, like, I am such a freaking student. I'm taking notes all the time. I always have a notebook with me and stuff. So when I'm trying to refill the well, I just don't. But what's funny, and people are so scared, and I've even heard somebody say this on a chat, but what if I get an idea right in the middle of that? If it's a good idea, you're going to keep it. Like, you're going to think about it later. Just enjoy the moment. Same way with people who are constantly taking videos and pictures, which I like to do that. But at the same time, there are certain things in life where you need to put your camera down and you just need to enjoy that moment, live in that moment. So not everything should be about work. Anyway, Mama Maggie had said something while she was talking about stuff like that and the doom scrolling and stuff, and it really clicked with me on that part. And I just wanted to make sure I mentioned it.
Yeah. And if you can train yourself kind of like Margaret has, where you can feel that you're not enjoying it anymore, just stop.
Yeah.
just stop.
Don't be guilty about it.
Yeah. Stop looking for the kittens and the baby hippos. Because miniature goats are cute. They're so cute. You don't need a miniature goat.
Hashtag cats being jerks. If you find videos, just look for it even on YouTube.
Dogs
Cats
being
being jerks, dogs being dumb, animals being, things like that. And that'll entertain me for hours. The hubs walked in one night now because I've got YouTube on our big screen, and he walks in and he's just like standing there. I didn't even know he was there for a long time, and he was like watching it over my shoulder because we both apparently needed the break.
All right. I like this about Eva. We are her biggest social media issue, and I get that because all of us run streams where there's one of us on all the time. So
sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. And Dega joined us. Hello. If I just don't come to streams, it probably improved production. But yeah. So Sako did link her Blue Sky. So make sure to check that out. It's really, really good. And don't feel bad about sharing things because others wouldn't. Don't feel obligated to share because others would. Yes, very much.
Bye, Tiffany.
All right.
Oh, yes. Share your link, Margaret.
Yeah, if you're still here, share your link.
Yeah, say hi to Tiffany for us.
Yeah. All right. So
I've got it on my notifications, so I'm going to go back and watch that later.
Here you go. Here is the link. So make sure to check that out. And let's go to the next question. Moving right along. Okay. How long do you work on a project before pinning it or taking a break to work on something new? There we go.
Thank you. I was about to say, what?
It's okay. My
brain starts filling stuff in. Like a Mad Lib.
I was right there with you.
If you find yourself on that hamster wheel, like when you're working on it or editing on it, and you find yourself in this circle where you're just going over and over and over the same thing, and you're changing the same thing. And this is why I know this sounds weird, but this is why it's important to make a little note where you're like working on chapter 15, working on chapter something. This is why it's important to keep those notes, because if you go back and you're like, I'm just not happy with this, and you go back and you look at your productivity notes, what you're working on notes, and you're like, I've been working on these 4 chapters for 5 years.
Oh gosh.
And maybe it's those word trappers, but no. But take a skip, work on something else for a little while. You're or if you go back to a project after you realize, okay, I'm not going anywhere, I'm going to go work on something else, and you come back to a project and you find yourself in that exact same spot, maybe it's time you pull those chapters out and replace them with something else, because there's something there that has you on the merry-go-round and you're just going around and around and around and around. And you end up doom scrolling your own document. Raise your hand if you've done that. Dawn, you don't have to, because I know from our discussions you have.
She's sitting herself in the corner on this one.
Yeah, who doom scrolls their own document? Me.
I mean, you know, we've only done Becca and Cody's stuff like 5 times, right? I mean, it's like 5 different stories at this point. So, and you guys don't even know who Becca and Cody are. So that's what's funny. It's like, that's how long we've been doing Becca and Cody's story, that we've not even shared it with anybody.
No.
See, I've done that, Margaret. Read a document that I have no memory of writing, but that's because I have brain damage from a stroke. And unless I read something 5 or 6 times and store it in my rote memory, my experiential memory is like, oh, it's the end of the day. It's time to sleep. Beep. There it goes. Just gone.
I think what Margaret said earlier is a big deal. If it gets to a point where you're not happy and you're not enjoying doing it, if you've gone over the same freaking paragraph like 5 times and you're just like, oh, I just started the same paragraph all over again, it's time to quit. It's time to stop. You need to move on to something else, or refill the well, like we were talking about earlier. Because dang. And if you can't decide on what you want to do for these characters, maybe you need to look outward. Maybe you need to get out of that little section and look at the big picture and think, what are we doing future-wise for these characters? That way you break that block that's right here by moving backward from that goal to where you're stuck at. But again, I wouldn't recommend doing that until you take a break.
And if you want to still feel like you're writing and being creative, like Chandra Author is Flash Fiction. Flash Fiction Live is on right now. Go do some Flash Fiction prompts. Pull a few tarot cards. Do a prompt based on the tarot cards you pull. Go back, catch some old creative randomizer streams. Roll those dice and make somebody just to write something stupid about. I got 5, 6.
Those are fun, though. That's
kind
of my brain break.
Those are my brain break. Yeah. You guys are going to love this month. It's going to be so much fun.
Okay, so I have a suggestion on that one. Because Maggie uses Leonardo, I think that she's so good at it that she should take some of the characters that came from the character randomizer and actually make pictures of them. What do you think? I think that would be so cool.
Definitely the drunk
just for
unicorn,
fun,
so that she can stare at a unicorn.
I hate unicorns. There's a reason they're extinct in my gargoyle world. Yeah, no. This month's character randomizer, it's going to be a fun brain break. It's going to be fun. Because we're going to go through all the slides, and you don't get to know which kind of cryptid or creature you are until the very last slide.
Ooh, I like that.
So you get your human, you get what your human looks like, you get what happens to them during the party, and then at the very end you get to roll what species they are and what species they hate.
Nice. It's going to be nice. It's going to be so much fun.
So,
Rita, you got anything to say on
Yeah,
planning your work?
first of all, I'm a planner. I need to write down little points of each chapter, what I'm doing. Well, back in 2020, I decided I was going to write totally different. My characters were older. They were like in their early 20s. And I did not start with the plan. All I had was a little brief outline of the characters. Well, I wrote about 23,000 words. Totally gave up, put it aside, said, okay, I'll go back to this later when I can think of a plan and outline. Well, since then, I wrote 2 other books. So sometimes your story that you're working on just isn't ready yet. So go do something else, and then maybe you'll come back to it. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll have different plans. And only you know when you need a break and when to move on to something else. I know a while ago I had 3 different projects on the go. Well, I still do, but I was editing 2 and writing 1. Well, I would divide my time up every week. Like a week I would do revisions. The next week I would do the next story, and then I would do words. And I found that I was so involved with one book that it ended up taking the 2 weeks. So I just divided my time up: 2 weeks for writing, 2 weeks for revising. And then the special challenges, like that's when I was involved with Nano. And so every November I would spend the whole month working like drafting. And then the camps I would just do revisions. And that seemed to help, that I would spend the whole month on a project and then the next month change it up. But what Mama Maggie said about your productivity notebook, I have a writer's journal and I record what I'm working on every day. And that helps.
Yeah, seeing how much time you spend on something really helps, because then you can actually plan better and set deadlines for yourself, set timers for yourself, so that you don't take too long on something. Maybe. I like Eva's thing, rolls dice that long.
She made me giggle earlier.
Cordy, Stephanie Gillis, and Hollow Moon Studios do is they do the roll the dice.
Yeah. Excuse you, madam.
I have been doing like the 45-15, 55-15, where it's like, okay, this is what I'm working on. Now I have to get up and walk around and do something else. And I do not do the same type of sprint more than twice in a row.
Yeah. And I like the whole pendulum thing, because for a while there, Skye was doing the whole Wheel of Doom. So that might help you break up time too on a certain project, get a break from a project, so that when you go back, you're looking at it with fresh eyes. Sako says, I plan on switching projects as part of my process about 9 months in. Okay. Hey, Sarah. Mozart fixes all blocks. Eva says, I like to finish a fast/rough draft very quickly. I'd say realistically, I give the project 2 weeks before I bounce. Okay. Dawn says, look, we take a break and start a new one, and do that so much that when we come back, we have to figure out sometimes what we were doing in that scene. Yeah, I've done that. All right. And Margaret worked on the Chicago story for 2 years. Okay. And then she switched to fantasy short stories,
Which I love.
All right.
If they get hers. I'll see if I can
Eva
look it
says,
up.
my oldest active project was born in 2012, and it has a good 400 hours to put into it. 2 of those in the last 3 years. Cat Paul says, I started Time Shift in January 2022, and I finally started writing the last part, first draft. Finally feeling fun again. Awesome. Yeah, there's a character randomizer playlist.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah. I don't think seeing the time spent would help me. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it makes you feel like, what am I doing with my life? And some people it doesn't help at all. Some people seeing the time doesn't help at all. I get that. Let's see. There we go. Margaret's short stories right here. Make sure to check it out. Give it a good read. All right. So, do we want to stop here, or do we want to go into? We have 2 more questions.
Those are
long
both
do you
going to
want
be
to go?
long discussion questions.
Yeah. So you want to save those for next time?
Yeah, we can pin this.
Okay. All right. So,
And there's
ahead.
no shame in pinning a project or taking a break from a project or walking away from a project.
None.
Because I know that there's a lot of author tubers, and they're like, you have to stay and you have to work on this and you have to finish this book before you can do. And no, that's not true. You can't do anything but write on this project. You know what? We're not Thoreau. We don't live in Walden Woods. We don't have mama and 2 nanny maids bringing us food and cleaning our house and washing our dishes so we can all wash. No, we've got lives.
That changed. That changed right there. When Mama Maggie brought that up, I was like, you're right. Because I was always comparing myself to these masters. Well, these masters had time.
Mhm.
We don't.
They and like they were like independently wealthy, or they're either from old money or had money, and married into money, and they had time to write, they had time to travel, they had we've got a life. I'm having to step back from doing Saturday streams, except for the character randomizer month, because my husband is now home on Saturdays, and he wants, it's not Wednesday, Thursday anymore. It is now Saturday, Sunday. So I am stepping back from Saturday, Sunday streaming, just 1 stream a day, because, I'm spending time with the hubby. I've got, we've got lives. We've got lives outside of the AuthorTube life. We've got lives outside of the writerly life. And so, there's no problem with stepping back. And if you've got a project that you're like, nope. I mean, I stepped back from the 3rd book of Revelation Night for almost 3 years, because I just couldn't find the muse to write that 3rd book, because I knew at the end of that book the main character was going to die. Gotcha. And that's another thing, is if it that goes back to earlier about not writing the end of the book and not tweaking a project so you don't have to say goodbye to it.
I'm sorry.
Back from the 3rd book of Revelation should be a fun.
I was thinking the same thing. When she started, I was like, wait, what?
Oh, yeah. For Shalom's character arc, there is no choice. There is no choice for Queen Shalom except for her to die. There is no happily ever after. There is no happy for now.
Yeah. And I like Dawn's, she has a playlist for house cleaning, and she cleans until it's done. So that's a good timer thing. We got this question over on Twitch, if we want to hit it real quick. Would you say that writing needs a formula, or is it viable for every project to have a different storytelling pattern? I think that certain genres, you have to follow their main things, like romance usually has a happily ever after. But other than that, you can write a dark romance and it doesn't have to have a happily ever after. So just know your genre expectations. And that's the only formula.
And be aware of your genre mashing. If you're a genre slut like me, hello, that cannot stay in a genre lane. that you will get people that are like, but you didn't have this beat, and you didn't have this story element, and you didn't have this, and you will get criticized for not having the expected story beats, the expected genre elements. If you're like, this is a romance, but your romance is actually your B or C plot. Mm-hmm. Or this is supernatural, but your supernatural is actually your B or C plot. Be aware that if you're following the beats or the standard tropes for one of those, that if you skip around in them, if you're mashing different genres together, that you will have people that are like, you misrepresented your book. And it's like, I know someone right now in my self-publishing Facebook group that Amazon has changed her categories again. And she goes and changes them back, and then Amazon changes them. I'm like, honey, you're going to have to get on the phone with them. You're going to spend an hour on the phone with them, and you're going to have to explain rationally why this is your genre. Do not get upset because they will just put in your notes that you're a whack job. And it's like, and like the same thing with Shannon, with Shannon S.D. Houston's Clash of the Goddesses series. They keep sticking that series as YA because there's no on-page smexy time in the series. It is not YA. It is nowhere close to being YA. But they for some reason, they keep sliding it down into that YA category. And she has to go back and tell them, this is not YA.
No.
When it comes to structure,
I love you, Dawn.
When it comes to, it depends on what you're talking about as far as the formula. When it comes to straight up writing it, we just pants it. So it's kind of like it doesn't have a formula, so to speak. We're just doing it because we know how we want the story to go. We've gotten better about planting ahead of time a little bit after having to go through the pain and agony of putting it into a plotting device. So the future novels, in other words, are probably going to be a little more, obvious that there's a bit of a plan. But yeah, as you're doing that, if you're just like writing the story, not really, but at the same time, I feel like there needs to be a bit of a pattern. And so I've studied all the different types of plotting tools. And if you just want something that's kind of a generic situation, I honestly would go with the screenwriter one. Michael Hagee, is that his name? Or am I completely wrong on that? But it's like a 6 points, and you can actually fit all of any romance, just kind of modifying what's happening. Any romance, you can shove adventure movies into this 6 point plotting structure, and you can just see the pattern. It's like, it's reeling you in at the beginning. It's giving you kind of like a, hey, this is the world. This is their world. This is who they are. Then all of a sudden, boom, something happens. And then, it's just like that kind of thing where you're going up and down a little bit during the movie. And then you have the payoff at the end, whether that be a happily ever after or a tragedy. It's kind of, I think it's kind of hardwired into us in our brains to like that. And so the way that he put it was the best way that I had seen to break any kind of plotting or storytelling pattern down. I'll see if I can find the link.
I've got a 6-stage plot structure like worksheet thing that I found, but I haven't found like his actual thing. But I'll post the worksheet here.
Cool.
Yeah.
I know I've got it saved, so let me grab that.
Okay. You want to add anything, Rita?
Not really. I wrote my first few books without even knowing there was a formula.
Yeah.
Or with the beats and all that stuff. I just write whatever came out. But then reading through the Save the Cat, the young adult version, because I write young adult, that I did instinctively just picked up a lot of those beats just by writing.
Mm-hmm.
And over time.
Yeah. Margaret says that she feels like her book or novel Orla deviated from norms, but she's just going to see where it goes, and that's good. You do you. There's lanes for that, and writing a romantasy that I'm pantsing and that I'm terrified of being classed as young adult. Yeah. So here's another question real quick. So when Amazon changes your genre to young adult, for example, who is responsible and takes the flack when readers get upset over missing beats and whatnot? You as the author does.
The author takes the
going
flack.
to take representation of that whatsoever.
That's the reason to stay on top of
Why
it.
you have to change, which is why you have to be proactive to change it back, and which is after it happens the second or third time. Because you have to understand, they're looking. Amazon does not have enough people to look at the thousands of books that come through their site every day. So they have an AI that does it.
Mm-hmm.
And their AI doesn't catch the nuances that a human would catch. So yeah, you end up with books getting shifted around in categories, and the person that's in my Facebook group, they were upset because they were climbing the rankings, and then Amazon flipped their category, and suddenly they didn't realize what had happened until they had no sales for 2 weeks. And then they went, what the what?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But if like we were talking about this during, I think it was the under 1K subs. We were talking about genres and losing stars. And so I think that was it. Maybe it was last week's Breaking the Block. But I lost everything ran together. Everything just ran together after that. I will be honest. Every Cat Paw asked me about which stream I talked about my stroking, and I'm like, But I had someone accuse me of writing urban grim dark just because the backstory of one of my characters would have fallen into that, but it was overcomer fiction, not urban grim dark. It was someone who came from a very dark background, but that's just a thing you have to face. It's unfortunately, as indie authors, we do not have the big publishing houses that will stand up for us. We don't have a band of lawyers that we can call our agent. The agent can call the lawyers, and they can take care of stuff. Indie authors, everything is on us. So if they recategorize your book, if they change your categories, then you have to have valid reasons to present them as to why you chose those categories. Yeah. And if you don't, like there's 2 of the Relic of Time War books where I do not have time travel in the categories because there's no time travel in those books. Mm-hmm. Time travel is mentioned. The use of time energy is mentioned, but there is no time travel in those books. So I don't even have it mentioned in the categories because Amazon could call me on that as miscategorizing my books, even though it's part of this huge series where time travel happens.
Yeah.
So
to answer this real quick, the sales is ranks. So whenever you look at a book on Amazon, you scroll down and it shows you the sales numbers. That's what's based on sales. The ranking is based on sales, not your categories or keywords kind of thing. So ranks is based on sales. Let's see.
Your
And-
categories, your keywords, and your genres are all separate from your ranking as sales.
Yeah.
So the classification of what kind of book you have is different from your ranking to Amazon.
Yeah. So this right here, I haven't had my categories or keywords or anything changed in Draft to Digital from Amazon or from Ingram Spark to Amazon. So
I haven't seen anything in Smashwords or Barnes and Noble or Apple. Who else did? Those are the ones that I really pay attention to through Draft to Digital. Well, no, Barnes and Noble, I do it myself, but I haven't seen them do it either. It's only been an Amazon thing for me. And
okay.
For me, so far, knock on wood or plastic or something, it has been beneficial. So they placed me into a category that I didn't have access to begin with. And it actually rose my book up to, I think, the lowest it was number 28 in that category. And
Nice.
and that was nice. But yeah, I definitely pay attention to it, especially since like when Vela was a thing, they would do it there too. And I had a book that actually got listed as erotica, and it was not erotica.
I had a Relic of Time War when it was on Bella. They shifted me to YA. And I was like, well, technically the first book could be considered YA because it has the childhood of 3 of the characters in it. And then them as like adult college student age type people. But yeah, it's the series isn't YA. And so that's part of Amazon's whole thing of they had issues for years of people purposely miscategorizing things to try to spread their sales base. There was a time when Amazon talked about going up to 10 or 15 tags. And then they decided not to do that because people would just go find the most popular book in the genre and put those tags on their book, even though that was not applicable to their book.
Somebody's always got to push that button, you know?
Yeah, there's always somebody that's going to try to cheat the system, which means the rest of us end up having to
pay for it.
go, basically fight the machine. Because there used to not be a law that said that you can't chase someone down the street with a running chainsaw. Now there is. There used to not be warning labels on things as to do not stop the chain of the chainsaw with your hand. Now there is. And it's always because somebody did it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, unfortunately, the categories that you are a separate entity from your sales ranking.
Yeah.
And if you get shifted around, it's up to you as the author to fix that.
And you as the author will probably maybe get a review with backlash of that. Hopefully not. But just stay vigilant and watch all your stuff. Which reminds me, I need to go check mine because it's been a week.
I'm lazy. I only check mine like once a month because I'm a lazy person. I blame the brain damage. I forgot it.
Yeah. All right. So we will save the next 2 questions for next time. And if y'all have any further questions, feel free to just pop them in the chat or the comments down below. There is a form as well that should be in the description box that you can fill out if you want to stay kind of anonymous. feel free to do that. And let's do some outros. So, Rita, Rach, Magie.
I'm Rita, also Miranda. I write young adult urban paranormal because of witches and family secrets. I am not published yet, but 2025 is my year, hopefully. And I host sprints on Mondays where I do my finding for the week. And new day is now Thursday. Both times are at 11 Eastern a.m. because 11 p.m. I'm sleeping. And this week, because of the full moon, I'll be doing 2 extra tarot streams. And Saturday, I'll have a guest.
Nice.
I am Rachel D. Adams from co-authoring the Dragon Tasker series to helping people with their writing and their marketing on aggressively helpful writing advice in Substack. And we are currently hoping to get 4 books out this year. So wish us luck on that, even despite everything else that's going on. I will be hopefully doing more videos in the months to come, just not so many as far as scheduled sprints like I used to do. But just keep an eye on the channel.
Hello, lovelies. Mama Maggie Ward, independent author, stroke survivor, migraine overcomer. Getting the books out, being stuck in the editing rabbit hole. That's where I am right now. Just trying to get the end of Relative Time Wars out this year. Trying to get the end of Pagosa Cliffs out this year, so I can have my 2 massive series done, so I can get back to the joy of writing. Versus the agony of editing. I'm dropping 2 books this month. I got the Pagosa Cliffs and Enemies first 3 books back from my publishing house. And I am doing some spot stuff to them and republishing them. The Wild and Enemy will be out on the 13th. That is book number 2. And book number 11 of Relic of Time Wars launched this week. So yeah, just all the things and the things plus the things that just doing this year. You can find me on Tis Tuesday midday streams. I'm no longer doing 5 a.m. Writers Club because my medication does not make me a functioning person at 5 a.m. Yeah, I take it at bedtime, and at 5 a.m. I'm still like, I don't know my name. So yeah, and you can always find me with Sam on Breaking the Block or on Character Randomizer, which comes fourth Saturday every month. We roll the dice. We create characters for flash fictions. And mainly it's just a lot of fun. It's a brain break. It's a lot of fun. We usually end up laughing hysterically at some point, not including unicorns. And we just keep going.
So I take it you're not going to go watch that new movie, Mama Maggie, about unicorns.
Murder corns! I'm totally in for murder corns. I'm totes in for murder corns. There was a reason that the gargoyles, giants, griffins, and humans banded together to kill the unicorns and demons. So, yeah, unicorns are evil. Don't believe the myths. They use their beauties to lure people to their deaths.
All right, on that note, thank you all for watching, and thank you all for joining us. And like I said, if you have any questions, fill out the form or leave it down in the comments below, and we will get to it as soon as we possibly can. We will be back next Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern, and we'll answer your questions then. Just keep an eye out on my channel because, like Rach, my streams might be going as planned, or they might be shifting around a bit just because life right now. And we will see y'all later. Bye.